How did she do that?
She would tell me, you can only see her if you come in my house and spend time with me.
Did you tell him he couldn't see her unless he came in and spent time with you?
No. Absolutely not.
When Brandon and I were getting married, we asked Danielle, our daughter, to be our flower girl. Danielle said, over my dead body. Out of revenge, Danielle called CPS on us. A social worker interviewed Brandon, myself, and my bridal party. I couldn't believe it was happening.
You have called the police or the sheriff or CPS numerous times.
If it's necessary.
Each time you've done this, has it been a legitimate concern on your part?
Absolutely.
They're saying that you're using your daughter to make them miserable.
I'm doing what's right for my child. I think they just want to make me look horrible.
I put together a timeline of what's been done, and I want to take a look at that and give each of you an opportunity to talk about it. Okay, on August 3rd, the child is born. Okay, so here we are just a short time after. Danielle refuses visitation. So Brandon files a writ of habeas corpus and the judge orders the visits to resume. So you tried to visit and you said no, and the judge said that you could do the visitation. Now that is a court record filed April 2nd, 2007. Then here we are 10 days later. Danielle interrupts Brandon's visitation, takes the daughter claiming she wasn't drinking enough.
He told me that he would not feed my daughter in the middle of the night. I think she was about 8 months old or something like that. And he refused. He said he would not feed her. And she was used to breastfeeding at that time.
So she came and got her?
She came the next day claiming she wanted to check on her. And when she showed up, she actually physically took our daughter in the car seat out into her car through the front door while I was going and warming a bottle.
No, you weren't.
Okay. Okay, let's fast forward here several months to November, same year. You refuse visitation, so Brandon files a writ of habeas corpus again.
I wanted him to get, again, record in the courts stating exactly what dates, because I was concerned, of course, him taking her out of state.
But you had visitation, right? And so you had to file a writ of habeas corpus to force her to give you the child.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
Then on the 9th, you did get it, so she interrupts the visitation and takes the child to the hospital because she is ill and cranky and insists on an MRI because you're claiming that she's having seizures.
I went to pick up my daughter, and she literally passed out in my arms. I said, Brandon, come on, we have to take her to the hospital. She's not responding. Let's go, let's go. We rushed her to the hospital, and the doctor told me your daughter had an absent seizure.
The doctor cleared her on examination, and you insisted that she have an MRI.
I never insisted.
I have read the medical record.
Well, what actually they told us that we can keep her a little bit longer, but, you know, and give her more tests. But we've been here a long time. You can go. She looks okay. And we agreed to go. Both of us were in there together, and he said, all right, let's just go. But the pediatrician came to visit her in the hospital, and she did say, well, what I think she had was an absent seizure and constipation because she wasn't eating. He kept on saying, she's not eating, she's not drinking.
The doctor clears the child, no problem, and says you insisted that she have an MRI.
I'm telling you, Dr. Phil, I never insisted that.
She did. I was in the room at the time. She insisted that we have an MRI, and the diagnosis was constipation. She was constipated because Danielle was feeding her something that would constipate her, cheese doodles, all the time.
I am shocked that a doctor would allow you to insist that an MRI because this is a very traumatic thing for a child. She had to be held down for the MRI, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you telling me now that they were lying in the record?
I never insisted that.
So they're lying in the record when they say that although the child has been cleared, that you insisted that she have an MRI, which was clear. They had the MRI and it was, of course, normal.
They suggested that because that's what the pediatrician suspected she had. That's what she told me. I never insisted anything. I wanted the best for my child. I wanted to make sure she was okay.
Okay, so this is important to me. You're telling me you did not insist she have an MRI.
I don't remember. No, I don't remember me making sure. I mean, I just wanted the best for my little girl.
Here's what the record said. The mother felt the child was having a seizure. Mother got upset when the hospital staff said the child needed no further test or treatment. Mother insisted the child have an MRI. The 15-month-old had to be held down for the test. And later, you called poison control after Brandon gave your child a sports drink.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
A grown man was on top of your child, and you did nothing.
They claim she knew everything.
Why did you not call the police?
I can't tell you why.
Did mom let it happen?
She says she was abused over 20 times by your friend.
I did not say that. Did you have to see him do it for you to do something? She told you. She didn't tell me the rest of the stuff.
Is it enough that she told you anything? Mom, is it enough?
Then on Thursday, the headlines shock the nation.
Congressman, sex, murder.
15 years after Chandra Levy's death,
people would walk up to me and say, "Murderer, where'd you hide the body?"
Gary Condit breaks his silence.
You say you gave Chandra jewelry. Explain that gift and how it got twisted.
The exclusive interview.
I'm here to tell you the story. And this is a bigger story than me.
That's Thursday.
I called.
Okay, January 1st, 2008, you refused visitation. Why?
I cannot recall at this time.
You don't know. Now, when you go for visitation, where are you coming from?
Typically wherever I was stationed at the time. So
are you driving to get here?
That was California. So that one I had to take a flight.
You had to take a flight.
Yes.
So you flew from California to where?
New York.
So you flew across the country to have a scheduled visitation.
Right. Yes, sir.
And you got there and she said no.
No, that's correct. Yeah. She said no.
Okay. So then on the 8th, you have to go to court again and the judge orders the visitation.
And if you look at the dates, that's January 1st when I was supposed to exercise my visitation, and January 8th when I actually got to. So I flew out and was in New York for 7 days before I was able to exercise visitation, the visitation that was court ordered.
Supervised.
I'm sorry?
It was supervised because of his behavior.
It was supervised, and it says it in the court order. It was supervised because at the time the judge was unaware of the medical records as they were typed up, as Dr. Phil had told us, and that it was you that had ordered or had tried to get the MRI, and that our daughter was constipated and was the whole reason we had to go to the hospital.
'Cause you weren't
in the
feeding
first
her.
place. She was in your care. She doesn't get constipated
You were
in a
holding
single
her. No, she was
day.
not in my care. You had her all day. All night.
She got constipated in a single day.
In
Because
your
she was-
care.
To be clear, you're right. This was supervised until the judge got the medical records and then apologized to you
Yes, sir.
for imposing the supervising restriction once the medical records were in the court's possession.
That's correct.
Now, okay, August 12th, 2009, Danielle, you refused to allow the child to attend Brandon's wedding. Why?
About maybe a month and a half before that, Brandon had given me a carat and a half bracelet he's a womanizer. The way he treats women is a joke. I was surprised.
What does that have to do with him having his daughter in his wedding?
This was a long time ago, and I guess at the time I had felt that it was a lie.
What was the lie?
That he was trying to be with someone else at the time. Of course, this is ancient history, and it's not that way anymore.
Okay. October 1st, the night before the wedding, you say the child is being abused, and the police interview the bridesmaids and guests. Is this like at the rehearsal dinner or something? This is the night before the wedding?
This was at our apartment before the rehearsal dinner.
Well, do you have documentation stating this?
Yes.
This is 2009, so I don't know. Can't
Yes,
speak for
we
the
do.
person that I was back then. I don't know.
Yes, we do. We have the actual report of the interviews and the judge's order where they cite this. So yes, we have 2 sets of documents about this. So you called the sheriff the night before the wedding.
I don't remember what did they say I did that. I don't know.
What?
What was the reason?
That the child was being abused. You called and reported abuse the night before the wedding.
In what way? Did it say?
You made the call.
For what?
Who
I
knows?
don't
But it
know.
wasn't founded. They came and they checked it out, and they talked to bridesmaids and my best friends and interviewed them, and nothing was found, like always.
Because there is no abuse.
Right, that's why she
was-
went into principals crying, my daddy and stepmother are hitting me with a wrist, and you had to go to family counseling.
We did
right?
not.
We did not
Oh,
have to go
right,
to
that's
family
why
counseling.
that's
not
for any reason at all whatsoever.
made an investigation.
CPS did do investigations. They just found no wrongdoing.
Well,
You're right. They did do an investigation because when you call, they do investigate as well they should, but they found no cause.
I was told that they had to go to family counseling, and my daughter told me that she got hit constantly with a stick on her wrist.
What?
That was never happened.
She didn't
Never.
say that to CPS.
That's what she had told me, and that's what the school told me.
Okay, 2 days later, you call the police to meet the child at the airport, stating that the child sounded dehydrated on the phone.
She sounded very sick, yes.
Tell me how you sound dehydrated.
I was there.
You lived
He
in a
would not
delusional
give me my
world,
daughter.
Danielle.
I am speaking. I was concerned, and the woman there said, oh, yes, she could get a rupture.
Who said this?
It was a security guard.
And later,
He said, if you ever talk about my father again, I'm going to kill you. I called 911.
he was in North Carolina and you called 911?
I was pregnant. I was scared.
He was 1,000 miles away.
I feel him kick. I can feel his little feet.
My daughter thinks she's pregnant, and she's not. She actually thinks her baby's Jesus.
I am pregnant! And it is Jesus.
You believe this baby's the Son of God?
Yes.
The ultrasound was performed on Haley.
You say, I'm giving birth. You don't believe that.
You are not a lie detector test, and you need to shut it.
Before I met him, my ex-husband was a priest. He'd had an affair with a massage therapist.
Who's now his wife?
This is the wonderful marriage that I apparently split up, right?
She needs to leave the room.
Your son killed himself with a shotgun.
Peter died under her roof. She doesn't appear to have any recognition of what she's done.
Do you believe that she would want your son to be dead?
Yes.
You sorry son of a
bitch!
Let me finish.
You are finished!
My stepdad was a sick pervert.
He would have me touch him in the tub.
And your grandmother knew this.
She was fluffing her hair 10 feet away.
I never saw it.
You know what you did.
I did not molest you. You are willing to destroy my life.
You have destroyed mine.
The child sounded dehydrated on the phone. Tell me how you sound dehydrated.
She was barely speaking. My daughter was talking like this, and she was barely speaking because she had been at the wedding all night, and she barely could get out her words.
Can I just say our wedding was over by like 9 o'clock? It wasn't even a late night.
For us, yeah.
So the police show up to meet the flight. But didn't you later admit that it wasn't because she sounded dehydrated, it was because you didn't get a call the night before?
No. I was there at the airport, and I just had mentioned to them, can I please have assistance, because I've gotten many problems with him not giving my daughter. He has done this to me too, many times. And I was there.
You live
He
in a
would not give
delusional
me my
world,
daughter.
you know.
I am speaking. He would not give me my daughter. He would not give her back to me. And she sounded like she could barely speak on the phone. I was concerned. And the woman there said, oh, yes, she could get a rupture in her intestine. And she was scaring me.
Who said this?
The woman in the airport. She was,
What woman in the airport?
it was a security guard or something. They were scaring me. So she goes, oh, I'm going to call the EMTs and make sure she's okay.
You weren't even there, right? You were
I
on your
was
honeymoon.
not there. We were together in Colorado still.
And a family member was
Yes, my
was
parents.
accompanying the child.
Yeah.
She would refuse to give me my daughter.
So when they got off the plane,
Well, you just said you had the police come because you knew he wouldn't give you your daughter. He was in Colorado.
Well, the grandmother wouldn't give me my daughter.
Okay, well, the child was fine. You did admit that you called the police because you got no call the night before.
our wedding night, that we didn't have the flower girl call you.
Yeah. Okay, we jump ahead now a couple of
Get you
months.
15 minutes of fame.
And
This is
you
fame for
petitioned
you.
now to restrict his contact. Then in February, you violate the custody agreement, you're held in contempt of court, and you're given 6 months in jail. It's
No.
so egregious, you're given 6 months in jail, and they suspend that sentence. You recall this?
No.
You don't recall being held in contempt of court and given a suspended jail sentence?
They never gave that to me. They never said I was to go to jail. They never said
It was
that.
suspended.
Here's what the judge's order said. By proof beyond any reasonable doubt, the respondent willfully violated said order. It is therefore ordered that the above-named respondent, you, hereby is committed to the Suffolk County Correctional Facility for a term of 6 months with execution of sentence suspended for a period of 1 year pending compliance with this order.
With his mother. Because she also had gotten unheard of visitation every other weekend.
You weren't aware of it, but you did appeal it.
The seriousness of it, I was not aware of that jail term. They never said anything.
You appealed it,
Well, that was 2010, so
and the
I
appeal
guess.
was denied.
Okay. Well, I appealed.
How can you not be aware of it and appeal it?
Wait a second. I don't remember appealing this
You were on your 6th lawyer. at
because
this point.
every time he came to town, I had to make sure I had representation. And
Well-
that judge was very derogatory towards me.
But we now go ahead 6 weeks, and you called poison control after Brandon gave your child a sports drink.
He had
Like
given
Gatorade?
her Powerade. It wasn't just Gatorade, it was Powerade. And I called the pediatrician, and the pediatrician said, well, she could get excessive diarrhea. She can get very sick from that. You should call poison control, giving a little girl Powerade with excessive amounts of vitamin B and other things that are not meant for children.
Okay, but
I believe a Powerade
poison
is safe for a
control-
4-year-old.
poison control said you were safe. You were okay.
They said she could get excessive amounts of diarrhea and she can get sick from it and she could die. That is what they told me.
Also in April, you called CPS because you said you observed the child's feet were swollen on webcam.
We had taken her to a specialist because she had severe allergies. He'd prescribed Claritin, and he had told me, absolutely not. I'm not giving her the Claritin. He refused to give her her medication.
Danielle
I would
was
think
never
that she
able
So
should
you
give
called,
that to her.
so you called CPS to report that.
And she was never
If
able to
she was
produce
very
that.
swelled up, yes, I did. I'm sure I did. You can get anaphylactic shock if you swell up too much and you have a bad allergy.
Okay,
My
well,
daughter-
let's take a break here. Next, Danielle says not only has Brandon threatened to kill her 2 times, I want to ask you about that, but now he's vandalizing her property. Brandon says Danielle is delusional and he is too busy taking care of their child to bother with damaging anything of hers. She says different. We'll be right back.
You're the one that called this show.
I did.
Oh, make my husband look wonderful.
This isn't about my husband. This is about our daughter.
You know, the one you use as a tool
No,
against us.
You're sick and you're a psychotic psychopath.
Rose.
Brandon is a womanizer. He sends me texts with sexual innuendo. One time, Brandon sent me a text stating on top. When I saw that, I knew what he meant. He is a married man, and I think that's very inappropriate. He would have an affair with me if I allowed it. I tried to warn Desiree, but she won't listen. I think Desiree's in denial.
Well, Brandon and his wife Desiree say his ex Danielle is trying to ruin their lives with bogus calls to police and CPS and court filings. Now, August 10th, Danielle tells the courts that Brandon threatened to kill her when she was 5 months pregnant. No action was taken. But you say he threatened to kill you?
Yes.
How'd that come about?
I was on the telephone and I was about 5 months pregnant, and we were discussing, he was drunk because he drank a lot to the point of puking. We were just discussing things, his father, and he said, if you ever, I had told him, you are never going to be the man that your father was. And he said, if you ever talk about my father again, I'm gonna kill you. And I said, are you kidding me? I'm 5 months pregnant and you just threatened a pregnant woman to kill her. And I said, I've got to go. I called 911 and they told me to go and file a restraining order.
Where were you?
I was in my home.
Where?
And he was in
New York?
Carolina. Yeah.
Where were you?
North Carolina.
He was in North Carolina and you called 911?
I was pregnant. I was scared.
He was 1,000 miles away.
He's driven like in 12 hours to my house. It's nothing to him.
Okay. I thought you didn't know till she was 8 months pregnant.
This came out during the custody hearing in 2010.
He's a liar.
So this is the first time I had heard about it was actually on the stand when I was attempting to get full custody of our daughter. So that was the first time that I have ever even heard a claim about that was in 2010. Apparently 4 years after it had happened. So I'm pretty sure that the timeline doesn't match up in the first place. And second of all, Why didn't I hear about it for 5 years if that was the case? So this is, once again, another delusion of Danielle's, another false accusation that just throws it at me to hope that it sticks, especially in court. And it just so happens that we have another court hearing coming up next week that we're going to be in, and you said that I did it again.
And you're the one that called here. You're the one that called this show.
I did. That was
oh,
me.
what a coincidence. Let me.
It was me.
Oh, make my husband look wonderful because,
No, because this isn't about my husband. This is about our daughter.
You know, the one you use as a tool
No.
against us in every
You're
which way you
just
can.
a liar. You're such a liar. This is a joke.
What is the court
You were
hearing?
on Dr. Phil for 15 minutes talking about your
trying
fame,
to make
and it
everybody
wasn't
look
about
bad.
our daughter.
You had to have the last word. Here we go.
In this one, yes, because
No,
it's
you-
about our
No,
children.
it's about what you think that you should look like because you know what you've done to me.
Was this, look
You
at this
know
timeline,
how
was
you
this good
pushed
for our,
my door
was this
open
good for our
and
daughter?
threatened me?
Was
you
this
sit
good
there
for
and
our daughter?
threaten me? Every time you think it's okay to just threaten me and push the door open and try to harass me and assault me, you think that's okay?
You have
think
one
that's
role
okay?
that you
Do
can
you
play
think
in
that's
Hollywood,
okay
and that
to
is
harass
the
people?
victim.
You
And you are doing it
harassing-
very well.
That's an abusive mentality because you're sick and you're a psychotic psychopath.
Okay.
It's obvious. I'm
I think
sorry,
Dr. Phil might have something
Water.
to say about that.
The date
When
I
were
was
you
given
supposed to bring her to
from the
Alabama?
courts that my lawyer told me to give you that child.
That child.
Were you supposed to bring your daughter to Alabama?
I was, but I had shingles.
Was sexually abused by your friend.
Did mom let it happen?
I did not see that.
She told you. Is it enough that she told you anything? Is it enough?
That's tomorrow.
Closed captioning provides.
I was incredibly upset, and I called her a disgusting
Liar.
human
I
being.
refuse, really? That's why
And-
the child went with you?
This is our life.
No, this is your view. This is your view and your judgment.
Were you
That's
supposed
your judgment.
to bring your daughter to Alabama at a certain time?
I was, but I had shingles.
So you were supposed to, but you didn't.
I was supposed to bring her back, and I had my lawyer tell his lawyer that he would have to get her, but he got her on the exact date of the court order.
She had shingles but couldn't fly, but ask her where she was Wednesday night.
I don't know what you did.
Did you take our daughter to Broadway on a train and go see a Broadway
Before
show?
that.
We have pictures of it, actually, on our daughter's phone, of you and her on a train when you were claiming you had shingles and couldn't bring her back.
I don't know.
I drove 16 and a half hours to get from Alabama to New York to come get her, and when I get there, you
was-
say no?
I was
Of
sitting.
course I'm going to call you
No,
a
I did
disgusting
not.
human being.
I did not say no.
What did
I don't
you
know what
say?
you were on Friday,
Tell me what
and you
you
said
did
you
say.
couldn't
Okay,
have her
hold on.
date Sunday.
I want you to speak. What did you say? He drives
He-
6.5 hours to get there. What did you say?
No, he always tries to get my daughter earlier. I was told by my lawyer to wait until the date, and I promised my daughter I was keeping her an exact date because I had already given him Father's Day 2 weeks extra. That's the exact, disgusting person that I am, that I give you 2 weeks extra of my visitation.
'Cause you
So
couldn't
you
afford
can
it.
have her for 2 extra weeks, but I'm so disgusting, right? Dr. Phil, all I've done is try to give to him, and he treats me like I do not matter in this child's life. He constantly does not give me
If you're just given to him, why is he having to get a writ of habeas corpus so often to get the child? You won't give her to him.
was told not to give him the child until the date that it states to give the child. I wouldn't even speak with him because every time I do, he demeans me, he is verbally abusive, and he is very, very condescending in every way.
Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to look at what the judge had to say about this, and I want to add Areva Martin, a child advocate, to the conversation here. and see what she thinks about this pattern and what impact this has on the child. That's what I'm interested in. We'll be right back.
Do you need Dr. Phil's help? Text Phil to 88500 and share your story for a chance to appear on the show. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Be in the Los Angeles area and you want to watch a live studio taping of the Dr. Phil Show, go to drphil.com for free tickets or call 323-461-PHIL. That's 323-461-7445.
My faith is very important to me, but when Brandon and I were together, he was not very supportive.
I believe Danielle uses the church for her own personal gains.
The church has been so supportive of me. They've given my daughter a dedication ceremony, helped me move around furniture in my house, helping me with anything that I might need.
Danielle loves to preach her Christianity all over social media, but Danielle definitely doesn't act like a Christian.
Now, joining me now is my friend, family law attorney, and child rights advocate, Areva Martin. Areva, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Areva, you've been listening to this whole thing, and I want to go over just some highlights from the judge's order. I think you've read this, but he said the parties have been in court since the child was 2 months old. All litigation centered on mother's resistance to father's attempts to have access. The first day of trial, the mother appeared in court with her 6th new lawyer. The mother has repeatedly demonstrated persistent and seemingly uncontrollable need to not only interfere with the time the father spends with the child, but to dictate and control what happens during the father's visitation. This is yet another example of the mother's histrionic overreaction when it comes to the issue of the father's ability to care for the child. The mother has repeatedly demonstrated that she is unwilling to allow the father to have a relationship with the child that is free from maternal interference. The mother's own fears and anxieties regarding the father's relationship with the child have rendered the mother incapable of promoting a happy and healthy relationship between the child and her father free of maternal interference. The mother has repeatedly acted in a manner which is detrimental to the child's best interest. She is devoid of any insight whatsoever into how her own actions will impact this child. An optimum relationship with both her parents would best serve the child's interest. This can only occur if custody is awarded to the father. Areva, what's going on here?
Well, as you said earlier, Dr. Phil, this is a pretty extraordinary ruling by a court because oftentimes we see the mother having primary custody and the father just fighting to have any visitation rights. So for a court to take a child from the mother and to give custody to a father means the court was very, very troubled by the conduct of the mother.
What do you think about what she's saying?
I think she's seeing a lot of what Brandon has had people put together. There's a lot of behind the scenes things. I've tried to do the best of what the advice that I've gotten from the lawyers and the doctors. It's all about money so he doesn't have to pay child support. So he can get his little 15 minutes of fame. Here we are on, national television. It's a joke. You would not believe the things that I've been through. In any way, including that sheriff, including the doctor, which was a woman.
Okay, let me be clear. Are you telling me that this man has woven together a conspiracy? No, listen, don't interrupt me. Look at me.
I'm just shaking my head. I'm sorry. I just feel very attacked right now.
Listen, you need to stop talking and you need to listen to me.
Yes, sir.
You are on self-destruct as a mother. You keep shaking your head. No, you need to.
He's done this to me so many times, Dr. Phil.
Oh,
Also,
my God. Listen to me. Listen to me.
You're not listening to me.
No, listen to me. You need to hear me, woman. You are trying to be right. The facts are that you are playing a game and you've been caught at it. I mean, the court has caught you. The police have caught you. Medical professionals have caught you. You're just not very good at manipulating. Closed captioning provides email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, live strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
You say you're feeling attacked. Let me tell you something. A friend will tell you the truth. And I am telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth because if you will stop this behavior, your role in your daughter's life will do nothing but get bigger. Your access to your daughter will do nothing but get broader. Your role in her life will do nothing but grow. If you continue this behavior, it can actually become so small as to be non-existent. I'm telling you the truth as much as you don't want to hear it, because I'm expendable. You don't have to like me. You can leave here and tell everybody what a no-good son of a bitch I am. That's okay. I don't have the need to be loved by strangers. If I've told you the truth and it causes you to have a better relationship in your daughter's life, then I've done my job. And that's what I want to do. What you're doing is not helping you in your relationship with your daughter. You don't have to be friends with him. He may be a complete jerk off camera. I don't know. I don't care. What I'm wanting to do is expand your relationship with your daughter. What do you hear me saying?
I was threatened by him, and there were many horrible things that happened to me, and I'm concerned about my daughter, and I just don't see it that way, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you think what you're doing is working?
I'm trying to find a way for some protection for me. That's all I'm trying to do. And my child.
Okay, well, I can tell you this. You've called him out on national television. So if he ever does anything to you, anything ever happens, this is the first place they're going to come looking. It's the first place they're going to come looking. Your job's to make sure she stays okay. So, Areva reaches over and pats you on the hand and you jerk your hand away from her. Boy, lady, let me tell you something. You need to reassess your thinking. I'd like to thank family law attorney and children's rights advocate Areva Martin and all of my guests today. My interest in doing this story was for this child to stop being a rope in a tug-of-war. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. Also, you can join the conversation today on Facebook and Twitter. We will see you next time.